Hello friends on the internet. My name's Sylvia. I'm sort of new to this social media stuff since I lived a pretty isolated life until recently. To start off, let me tell you guys that I married pretty early in life. That was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. I thought that I was in love with John and he loved me just as much. So when he proposed marriage after getting a job, I immediately said yes. If my stupid butt had bothered to listen to my inner self and gotten a freaking job, a lot of my problems could have been avoided. Yes, I was a stay-at-home wife to John. He was a good husband to be, despite our age gap and my being married young. I grew up in a strict household and thought that John was my escape. Things were all rosy in my new marriage, and I truly thought that I was living the dream. There was only one point of contention in our marriage. It was his best friend, Laura. Laura was an exceptionally rude friend who displayed boundary-stomping behaviors. I got the vibe that she wasn't my fan. To be honest, I wasn't her fan either. I did try to talk to John about her and said, "John, you need to put some boundaries between us and Laura. The way she acts around you is a little inappropriate. It is making me feel insecure." "Oh, come on, Sylvia. You're just being young and naive. Laura's nothing like that. You are being overly sensitive. Get your jealousy under control." "But I feel uncomfortable around her, John. She's constantly hugging and touching you inappropriately. You need to see how it can affect me." "Stop this nonsense, Sylvia. Laura is not a problem. You have nothing to worry about. I love you, and you should trust me." Young and naive Sylvia trusted him. Yes, I was that much of a fool. Well, I was only 21 when I got married, so you can see why I listened to a 25-year-old when he said it was all in my head. Turns out I shouldn't have listened to him. As the years went by, I turned into being a servant for John. I wasn't simply a housewife. I literally did everything for John. All he did was work and criticize me. He even isolated me from friends and family so that no one would know what a bad husband he was. I stupidly gave in to all his demands and stayed the passive wife. I also remained very passive when he announced his promotion and transfer to another state. Initially, I was excited, but then he revealed something to me. I had said, "So, when do we have to move to Florida for your work? I need to start looking at houses and packing. It's a lot of work." "Oh, I actually wanted to talk to you about that. Well, you see, you won't be moving with me. I'll be moving there alone." "What? But why, John? Why don't you want to take me with you?" "You know how Nina has become bedridden now. She really needs someone to take care of her. You know I can't do it because of work. But you definitely can. I want you to stay here and look after her. She would be happy to have you, and I would rest easy knowing that she is taken care of." John didn't have to convince me a lot. His sister Nina is a sweetheart. We always had a great relationship and I loved her like my own sister. She was a widowed woman and fairly wealthy. Recently, she had been in a horrible car accident that left her bedridden. The doctors didn't have much hope, and things were still looking bleak. Leaving her behind all alone was risky, and I didn't have the heart to do it, so I listened to my husband and agreed with his decision. John and I left our rented apartment and I moved in with Nina. He soon left for Florida and settled in quite well. We had regular phone calls and even video calls to stay connected. I did miss him a lot, but taking care of Nina was also important. Nina was super grateful for my presence and sometimes felt guilty for separating us, but I reassured her that everything would be fine since John said that he would be back working in our city after a year. My long-distance marriage was great for 6 months. It was so good that I didn't have any suspicions about John whatsoever. I never would have found out what I had found out if I hadn't called his office. One day I was unable to reach John because his phone was switched off. I tried for hours and got no response. I was immediately worried and decided to call his office number to ask them for John's new work number. Since he lived so far away, I was always anxious about his health and wellness. I was praying to God that he was all right. Imagine my surprise when his colleague picked up the call and told me that John left his job 6 months back. That was new information for me. I was absolutely shocked to hear this. My hands were shaking and I was starting to feel nervous. I had no idea why John would lie to us like that. I hung up the phone and decided to keep trying to reach John. My mind was racing and every explanation that came to my mind was terrifying. I feared the worst. I quickly opened John's old laptop, which was still with me. I wasn't tech savvy, but I managed to open John's social media by watching some YouTube videos on my phone. When I started to look for clues, I was afraid of what I was going to find, and my worst fears came true. I found out that John was talking to Laura, and they were living in Florida together. They had planned this all so that they could lead a double life. I was shattered from inside and just started to understand what I had seen. That's when John called me. I was so nervous and on the edge that I immediately confronted him. I said, "John, what the hell is going on? I called your office and they said that you left your job. What is going on?" "Oh, it's nothing, Sylvia. I simply found a better job here and took it. It happened recently and I forgot to tell you." "Don't freaking lie to me, John. I opened your old laptop and found out about your affair. You intentionally left your job to have a life with Laura in Florida. I know you're cheating on me." "Well, what are you going to do about it, Sylvia? Are you going to leave me? You have no job, no money to support yourself. You are completely dependent on me. If I don't send you money, you won't even be able to get a divorce lawyer." I couldn't believe what my husband was saying. I had expected him to show a little bit of remorse for what he had done, but he didn't sound remorseful at all. Instead, he was threatening to cut me off financially if I dared to go against him. What was worse was that I could hear Laura laughing in the background. I guess he had me on loudspeaker. I felt utterly humiliated. To add insult to injury, Laura said, "Oh my God, I completely forgot about that. You are so right, John. Who would even hire a loser like Sylvia? She was lucky enough to have you pay for everything." John and Laura kept making fun of me while I started to get tears in my eyes. Their insults really got to me, and the betrayal was too much to handle. I wanted to shout at them and tell them that they were wrong, but I couldn't do it. They were right. I was dependent on John. I was stupid enough to agree to be a stay-at-home wife to a vile man. I felt disappointed in myself and wanted to just disappear. I said, "How can you say those things about me, John? I loved you. I thought you loved me too. How could you be so cruel to the woman you love?" "Well, newsflash, Sylvia, I don't love you anymore. You are absolutely good for nothing and a boring wife. The only thing you are good for is being a maid to my sick sister." "So that's why you didn't divorce me? You wanted me to stay here and look after your sister for free? You wanted me to be a maid for her? Your sister would be ashamed of you, John." "I don't care what Nina thinks of me. She's a frail woman who doesn't have much time left anyway. Within a year her weak body will give up and she'll be gone. Then I will have her assets and live a better life than ever." "Oh yes, we will have such a good life, John, but we will need to get rid of your useless wife." "Of course, Laura. I would have no use for Sylvia anymore. I will divorce her and marry you. I will get a big shot lawyer who will tear her apart in court. She won't get a penny out of me. Do you hear that, Sylvia? I'm going to ruin you in the divorce." The venom in John's voice was enough to make me feel sick. The way he spoke about his own sister was downright disgusting. He was not concerned about her well-being at all. All he wanted to worry about was her money. He even had a whole plan about what he would do with his so-called inheritance. Listening to John and Laura had started to take a toll on me, but I was also slowly getting super angry at them. I said in a clipped tone, "I won't make this easy for you, John. I won't let you take advantage of me and cast me out when you please. There are laws in this country that will help me." "Good luck using those laws with a cheap lawyer that you'll be able to afford. I will hire the best and make sure you don't get a cent from me." We will see about that, John. You can do what you want, but be warned. There will be some serious consequences for your actions, and I will say that you will deserve it. I just couldn't bear to keep talking to them anymore, so I hung up on them. After that, I had a good cry for an hour straight. My life was in shambles, and I didn't know who to turn to. I was already estranged from my family, and John made sure I was cut off from all my friends. I guess he had really thought that isolating me would make me weak. And he was right, until now. At that moment, I felt so vulnerable that I got extremely scared. I knew that going against John would be tough, but I wasn't going to sit around and cry waiting for him to ruin my life. For the first time in my life, I took a gamble. I went straight to Nina for help. I had no idea whether Nina would side with me. She was John's sister after all. There was some doubt in my mind that Nina would end up siding with John even after hearing the full story. I had to keep reminding myself that Nina was a good woman who kept strict morals. She wouldn't just turn on me like her brother had. I gathered up the courage to face her and took all the evidence with me. I didn't approach her that night. Instead, I did it after we had breakfast. I said, "Nina, I wanted to talk to you about something." "I'm glad you said that, Sylvia. I've been worried about you. I heard you crying last night, but I couldn't go to check on you. You look down today as well. What's going on?" "I'm glad you care about me, Nina. It looks like no one else in the world does." I wasn't lying when I said that. Nina's concerns really touched me and gave me some hope. I now felt confident enough to tell her the truth. I didn't know what her reaction would be, but I told her anyway. I said, "I found out something last night, Nina. I called John's office when I couldn't reach him on his phone. They said that John doesn't work there anymore and left his job 6 months back." "What? What are you talking about, Sylvia? John told us that he's away for work because of a big promotion." "He was lying to us all, Nina. There was no promotion. He left his job, and I believe he got a different job in Florida." "But I don't understand. Why the hell would he lie to us about this?" It broke my heart to tell her the truth, but there was no other way. Nina was confused about why John lied to us about his job. He was such a good actor that we didn't suspect anything. If I hadn't reached out to his office, I wouldn't have known the truth either. That's how well he hid his actions and kept us in the dark. My voice almost trembled when I said, "Nina, John is cheating on me. He's sleeping with his best friend Laura. He's in Florida with her and plans to marry her after divorcing me." "What? No, that's impossible. I don't believe this. There have been some mistakes. John loves you with all his heart. He wouldn't do that to you." "He already betrayed me, Nina. I have all the proof. He confessed to his cheating. He has no remorse, Nina. I recorded our conversation when I called him. Laura was there too. Here, you can hear it for yourself." I played the call recording for Nina to hear. It was like I was stabbed in the chest once again. John's words replayed and created more turmoil in me. However, this time around, I was more angry than sad. The hurt was wearing off and being replaced by anger. Nina's face also betrayed her emotions. She went from being confused and shocked to just plain mad. When the call recording finally stopped, she said, "So, this is what my dear brother has been up to. He can't wait to divorce his wife after his sick sister passes away. What a great plan he has made. I don't even know what to say. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, Nina. I don't know what to do. They are right. I can't go against them. I have no money. I'm completely helpless." "That's where you're wrong, Sylvia. You are not completely helpless, and you can go against them. I will give you the money. You need to divorce his sorry butt and show him what you can do." "But why would you help me? He's your brother. I'm no one to you. After John divorces me, I won't even be your sister-in-law." When I said this, Nina's eyes softened, but there was some anger lingering in them. I quickly realized that the anger was not directed towards me. It was directed towards my husband, John. She put an arm on my shoulder and said, Do you think I would take my brother's side? The brother who's waiting for me to die so that he can enjoy my wealth? And stop putting yourself down, Sylvia. You are not no one to me. You were the one who stayed back to take care of me. You stuck by me when John left to go live a double life with his mistress. Of course I would help you. Really? You would help me get revenge? I don't want to be with John anymore. I'm done being his freaking puppet. I won't leave your side since you have become an important person in my life, but I can't be married to John anymore. In that case, divorce him, Sylvia. I will provide you with the money and resources. I would rather spend my wealth on you than on that horrible brother of mine. I had tears in my eyes seeing the way Nina was supporting me. She was truly God-sent for me. While I didn't have any family, Nina felt like she had filled that part of my life. I was now even more mad at John, who left such an amazing sister to fend for herself. But Nina was made of steel. If John was clever, Nina was even better than him. She devised a great plan and gave me the money to execute it. First, she called a trusted lawyer who specialized in divorces. We discussed everything with him and planned our next steps. Since John and Laura were unaware of being recorded, I couldn't use the call recording as evidence of his cheating, so Nina hired a private investigator for me who would tail John and get evidence of his affair. The private investigator was so good that he got some solid proof of John's affair and also found out where he worked. It made things easier for us to make a case. Soon we had all the documents ready and I filed for divorce. The show had begun. John was still in Florida when he was served the divorce papers. He tried to call and text me, but I stopped engaging with him. I clearly told him that he could only contact me through my lawyer. He didn't like that one bit. He immediately booked flight tickets and flew down to our state to confront me. But he had a big surprise in store. I guess he forgot the fact that I lived with his sister. Or he may have thought that Nina wasn't going to take my side. He stormed into the house and started to scream in my face, saying, "What the hell do you think you're doing, Sylvia? Do you think you can divorce me on your terms and I would just give in that easily?" "Oh, yes, that's exactly what's going to happen, John. I'm pursuing this divorce and going to produce proof of your cheating. Don't worry, your little mistress Laura will also get a nice lawsuit for alienation of affection." "How dare you, Sylvia? Do you think you can do whatever you want? You have no money, while I have a lot more than you. I will destroy you in court, and I will make you homeless." John was raging at me, but I remained calm. It gave Nina some time to come out of her room and face John. John took one look at her and went pale. She wasn't exactly bedridden anymore. She was perfectly capable of using a wheelchair and navigating around the house herself. The physiotherapy was working really well. If John had bothered to check on her, he would have known. Nina smirked knowingly at John and said, "What happened, little brother? Surprised to see your bedridden sister in a wheelchair? As you can see, I'm not that close to dying anymore. So much for making big plans with my money, right?" "Nina, what are you talking about?" "I'm talking about how you had made plans to spend my money after I die. I believe you said that I would be gone in a year. Well, guess what, John? That is not happening. And Sylvia becoming homeless and ruined is not happening either." "Nina, you have no idea what you're saying. Sylvia is trying to turn you against me. You should be on my side." "Why should I be on your side, John? Because you lied to us. Because you cheated on your wife and planned to ruin her. Because you wanted me to die and give you all your money. Give me one good reason why I should take your side." "Nina, I'm your brother. I'm family. Sylvia's no one to you." That was the stupidest thing John could have said in his defense. Hearing this poor excuse, Nina absolutely tore into John. She was raging mad and looked really scary. John even took a step back. When she started to yell at him, she said, Don't you dare call me family. You are no one to me, John. A brother who wishes for the death of his sister cannot be called family. You are a vile and disgusting piece of shit, John. I am ashamed to be related to you. Sylvia is not my blood family, but she has proven to be much more than that. Meanwhile, you have become a disgrace to our family. I don't consider you my family any more, John. Nina, please don't say that. I'm your little brother. I need my sister in my life. You are my only family. Oh, right. You do need your sister in your life because you need her money. Am I right, John? Well, guess what? You will never get my money even if I die. I will leave everything to Sylvia instead of you. As for now, I will help her destroy your butt in court. Nina, please don't do this. You can't do this to me. I'm your family. Enough of your bullshit, John. Get the hell out of my house before I call the cops. Don't even think about setting foot in my house again. John was now pretty ashamed of being scolded and yelled at like that. He left quietly, probably hoping to return once Nina had calmed down. Well, Nina never calmed down. My lawyer immediately caught hold of him and set up a meeting to show him all the proof we had. John brought his own lawyer that he had hired in a hurry. His lawyer took one look at the evidence of his affair and deflated. Even he knew that there was no way to get out of this situation. Living in an at-fault state meant that I would be getting John's savings and a hefty alimony because of the income difference. John was screwed. It took John only a week more to come begging on Nina's doorstep. He did try to contact Nina within this time, but didn't speak to me. One fine morning, I found him on Nina's porch waiting to be let in. This time, he wanted me back in his life. He said, "Sylvia, look, I know I made a mistake. I can see that now. Please give me a chance. I lost everything because of my mistake. I want a chance to redeem myself." What happened, John? Did your lawyer tell you how screwed you are? Or did you finally realize that Nina isn't going to crack and help you out? Sylvia, we had a good life. Let's not throw everything away for one mistake. I broke up with Laura. I even blocked her everywhere. I will leave my job and look for one here. We can start again. I simply laughed in his face when he said that. John looked desperate, pleading for help, but to me, it was simply too funny to witness. There was a time when I would have taken him back. If he had shown me any genuine repentance for his actions, I would have thought about giving him a second chance. I really loved John, but he betrayed me in the worst way possible. I had already seen too much of his real face to forgive him. So with Nina's permission, I shut the door in his face and I told him to get lost. I know that you guys would want to know how things ended. Well, it didn't take that long, actually. Since we were already separated for 6 months, the judge granted us a divorce fairly soon. All the evidence of John's affair meant that he was paying me a huge alimony and giving me half of his savings. By the way, he also had to pay my lawyer out of pocket. Then comes Laura. I proceeded with my lawsuit against her too. Nina actively encouraged me to do it. I needed to teach her a lesson as well, so I went ahead with it. All the evidence I had was enough for the judge to make her pay me a compensation. It was actually a pretty big settlement for me since she worked and had a good income. She cried when the judge made his decision. Serves her right for making me cry for days. Now, let's talk about what I'm up to. Well, I'm still living with Nina. After the divorce, I took up a job and talked about being a tenant in her house. She absolutely blew up at me and started to cry about how I was being mean to her. That's how she got me to drop talks about rent. She has hired a caretaker for her who looks after her when I'm in the office. She's doing much better now with physiotherapy, and the doctors are positive she will recover pretty well. Things won't go back to normal for her, but she will be good for a while. We have really come close and become best friends. She has seriously cut John off and doesn't speak to him anymore. Things are really going well for both of us now. I hope you guys will pray for us so that we can find our happiness in life our way.